Now, I'm not one to gossip, but I will bring you the tea. Welcome to Chronicle Speaks.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Look at you.
So after a few years, I recently rewatched the movie I Care a Lot. And let me tell you, this film feels eerily parallel to what Wendy Williams has gone through over the past 3 years under guardianship. The film follows a con woman by the name of Marla Grayson, who is a professional legal guardian who colludes with the doctor to find marks for her scam.
The court has ruled that you require assistance in taking care of yourself.
I'm fine.
I'm afraid it's not up to you to decide. The court has appointed me to be your legal guardian. You have to come with me.
This woman manipulates the legal system to gain guardianship over wealthy seniors, placing them in care facilities while seizing their assets. And just like the movie, in Wendy's case, things are starting to unravel, heads are beginning to roll, and people are slowly but surely being found out for the manipulative things they've done to get Wendy in this situation.
You're in trouble now.
Now, in my last Wendy video, we went over a letter that was written by Wendy's former doctor, who happened to be a psychiatrist. Now, in said letter, he said that over the past 6 months, Wendy had been unable to make reasoned decisions, and at that time, he said her insight and judgment were severely impaired. This letter from her former doctor to her account manager served as the catalyst triggering this guardianship. Now, a lot of you commented on that video, and you said that this seemed to be a HIPAA violation, and you're absolutely right, it was. Now, what would you say if I told you that there was a complaint filed against that doctor during that time with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Office for Civil Rights? This complaint detailed the personal health information given from Wendy's former doctor to her account manager at Wells Fargo, Schiller. And from what I'm being told, this doctor faced no disciplinary action for violating HIPAA, which is honestly shocking considering how serious this kind of breach is supposed to be. This case involving Wendy Williams has so many twists and turns, but I promise you, we're going to see this through. We're going to break down everything currently going on with Wendy Williams and so much more. But before we do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any news regarding this story and so much more. Now let's get back into it. Now, Wendy Williams was placed in a court-appointed guardianship in May of 2022 after Wells Fargo froze her accounts, citing concerns of financial exploitation and undue influence. Now, the bank petitioned the court alleging that Williams was an incapacitated person and the victim of undue influence and financial exploitation. Initially, Williams agreed to the arrangement, believing that it would help protect her finances. However, she later expressed frustration, feeling that the guardianship had become overly restrictive and affecting her autonomy.
Now I'm going to tell you something. If it happens to me, it could happen to you.
In 2023, Williams was diagnosed with primary progressive aphasia and frontal temporal dementia. These are conditions that impact speech and cognitive functions. Now, her guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, has described Williams as permanently disabled and legally incapacitated. Despite this, Williams has contested the guardianship, asserting that she is capable of managing her own affairs and seeking to regain control of her life and finances. Now, speaking on finances, one of the main reasons why the guardianship was put into place was to make sure that Wendy was no longer the victim of undue influence and financial exploitation. Since the guardianship started, Wendy Williams faced a federal tax lien of over $500,000 in unpaid taxes. Exactly 2 years after being in the guardianship, Wendy Williams' dream NYC penthouse was sold by the Guardian for a loss after the former TV host was deemed incapacitated. Things have not been getting better for Wendy, they've been getting worse. Now, this letter dated January 20th, 2022 from allegedly Rami Kaminsky with the Institute of Integrative Psychiatry says this: Dear Ms. Schiller, Ms. Williams has been my patient for over a year now. Over the last 6 months, she has been unable to make reasoned decisions, and her insight and judgment, which is spelled wrong, are severely impaired. Sincerely, Rami Kaminsky. So in March 2022, there was a complaint filed with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office for Civil Rights, also known as OCR, and what this part of the letter pretty much states is that they prohibit any discrimination in the delivery of health and human services based on race, color, sex, and it also goes into detail about how they enforce the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, also known as HIPAA. The next page goes on to ask, whose health information privacy rights do you believe were violated? First name, Wendy. Last name, Hunter. Who or what agency or organization, provider, or health plan do you believe violated your or someone else's health information privacy rights or committed another violation of the privacy rule? Person or agency organization, first name Rami, last name Kaminsky. Then it has the address, which I blacked out. When do you believe that the violation of health information privacy rights occurred? Date of violation is January 20th, 2022. Describe briefly what happened, how and why do you believe your or someone else's health information privacy rights were violated, or how another violation of the privacy or security rules occurred. Please be specific as possible. Attach additional pages as needed. Now, this person goes on to say on January 20th, 2022, Dr. Kaminsky sent a letter to Lori Schiller, who is the patient's former employee. And I believe the reason why they're using the term employee is because Wendy hired her as her financial advisor years ago. Now, Lori Schiller, who was the former employee, received this letter allegedly from Rami Kaminsky without the patient's knowledge and consent. Now, this letter unlawfully disclosed information about the patient's ongoing treatment. This improperly obtained letter is being used as a basis for a legal proceeding against the patient. The patient did not grant consent to Dr. Kaminsky to disclose her private health information to anyone. Dr. Kaminsky's actions constitute a breach of the patient-physician privilege and is in violation of the protections afforded to the patient by HIPAA. Now, the remaining of the complaint goes over the complaint consent form, so I will not bore you by reading that.
A former doctor, okay, had medical information about me that I never even got. It was sent over to Lori Schiller. So I haven't gotten the stuff. I fired the doctor. And again, all I want to know is, where is my money? This is not right. And certainly, this is not fair. This is not fair.
Wendy uses keywords. She said former doctor. So I'm telling you this, and I've also confirmed this. This person was no longer Wendy's doctor when he sent this letter over to Lori Schiller. So let's just play devil's advocate and say maybe he still was her physician at the time. If so, then he'll first go over a clinical assessment. He'll check her judgment, her insight, her cognition, so they may conduct a mental status exam or a neuropsychological test. Then they typically determine your risk level. Are you a danger to yourself? Are you a danger to others? Are you at risk of financial, physical, or emotional exploitation? They then come up with a safety plan or crisis intervention. This may include a crisis team, or they may recommend hospitalization, which may be voluntary or involuntary, depending on the laws of your state. They then document and possibly report. They file a psychiatric hold, which is also known as a 5150 in California, and then they may petition the court for a capacity hearing. They may also report you to Adult Protective Services and initiate guardianship proceedings if you're vulnerable. Lastly, they may involve your family, legal, or protective services. They may talk to your family or caregivers to create a support system. Then other times they may refer the case to a forensic psychiatrist for a formal capacity evaluation, or they may help start the process of assigning a guardian or conservator if they believe you can no longer manage your affairs safely. So I ask this, what would it gain this physician, or Wendy for that matter, for this physician to contact Lori Schiller, Wendy Williams' then account manager at Wells Fargo, and inform her that Wendy has been unable to make reasoned decisions and her insight and judgment were severely impaired at the time. Now, all of this is coming together. I made a video back in August 2022, and we talked about Wendy's medical proxy and how someone in her family, not little Kev, gave access to Wendy's manager at the time, Bernie Young, to sit in on Wendy's private therapy sessions with doctors selected by Bernie and Debmar Mercury. So let's read it just to jog your memory. This person said, unfortunately, blank allowed it to happen because of blank's hatred for Kelvin. Blank was her medical proxy during the entire time that Bernie was her manager. Blank allowed Wendy to be charged $10,000 per visit for 45-minute doctor visits. Blank allowed Bernie to sit in on Wendy's private therapy sessions with the doctor selected by Bernie and Debmar Mercury. Blank allowed Debmar and Bernie to have final say over all matters related to Wendy's health. So when you saw Wendy cracking, it was under their watch. And if you recall, there was a report back in early 2022 by the U.S. Sun stating that Bernie Young used Wendy Williams' American Express card in the amount of $10,000 to pay for the hiring of attorney Carolyn Wolf at powerhouse law firm Abrams Finsterman LLP to pursue guardianship over the TV talk star. It's being said that Bernie had to turn himself in and was arrested for his misconduct. I have been trying to find the arrest record and have not been able to thus far, but give your girl a second. I'm going to continue looking. Needless to say, there is a lot of wrongdoing in regards to Wendy and how she's been treated. Sabrina Morrissey, who typically cannot say much because of the case being under seal, had her attorney release a statement a few months ago, and the attorney said, because the court proceedings involving Ms. Williams are under seal, Ms. Morrissey is restricted in defending herself at this time from all the spurious and defamatory claims and personal attacks being raised against her. Nevertheless, Ms. Morrissey empathetically denies any wrongdoing, mismanagement, or self-dealing with regards to Ms. Williams' guardianship. All of the court-appointed guardianship activities are regulated and supervised by the court. Now, Wendy Williams will have to undergo medical testing, including an MRI brain scan and neuropsychological assessment to determine if she is indeed incapacitated and if she has frontotemporal dementia and aphasia. Once she undergoes the testing and a full evaluation, the results will inform the next steps on her guardianship case. Now, being that this guardian is so certain that Wendy will once again be diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia and aphasia and continue to be listed as permanently incapacitated, Wendy wants to make sure that whoever is completing this exam for her has no connections to the judge or to the guardian. So she is seeking a third-party independent evaluation, and it makes sense because we can honestly see some folks ain't to be trusted. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is TMZ reporting that Wendy Williams is twisting in the wind over medical condition. TMZ is reporting that Wendy Williams is trying to get answers about a potential change in a very serious medical condition, but she says her doctors and her guardian are keeping her in the dark. Wendy tells TMZ the medication she takes for a thyroid condition related to Graves' disease was recently changed and no one will tell her why or answer her questions. Wendy Williams says the nurse came in recently with a different color pill and nobody has said a thing, and she's trying like hell to find out if her thyroid condition is better or worse. According to TMZ, Wendy has tried to contact not only her doctor but her guardian as well, but to no avail. Considering certain folks can't be trusted, I highly doubt that pill is for thyroid, and if I was you, Wendy, I wouldn't take it. What I need to do is hear from you. What do you think about everything going on in the world of Wendy Williams? Leave a comment and you know how we do. We'll talk about it down below. Talk to you guys later. Bye. As always, thanks for watching. But before you go, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any of my new episodes.